All right. Thank you so much, Vitalik and Roger, for staying the extra mile to share with us. So I have an exciting announcement, something that really brings together the work of Funding the Commons with the mission we hold to bring public goods funding into a wider mainstream audience and do our part in innovating, not just talking, but really bringing blockchain technology into the world. So we are working together with the Tor Project and various other privacy and public goods funding protocols, including Logos, whose founder, Jarrad, is right here. Give him a warm welcome. Yeah. So Jarrad is the man behind Status, Codex, Waku, and quite an OG in crypto, and we're really happy to have you with us for this special moment. And we'll be working together over the coming months to experiment with various public goods funding mechanisms. And we have our CTO, James, here as well. Give him a warm round of applause. So Funding the Commons, prior to the last few weeks and months really, has been a event production organization. We're starting to incubate technology projects ourselves, and thanks to James, we now have the capacity to work together with projects like Tor to create new technology and use that technology to crowdfund and to fundraise for open source privacy. And there is something I'm learning a lot about from Roger that in some circles, not these ones, is called the internet freedom ecosystem. And really privacy is core to that. And the first question I'd love, Roger, you to share a little bit about what is this internet freedom ecosystem and why is it so important? And what's the Open Technology Fund and what's happening to that?
Yeah, so something like, I don't know, almost 20 years ago, there was a new money that got allocated to the US State Department to do internet freedom. And what they meant was helping people in China and Iran and Russia and other places that are typically oppressed to be able to use our version of the internet, to be able to reach that websites that they wanted to reach, to be able to interact, to share news, to learn news, that sort of thing. And that momentum has grown a lot over the past 20 years, 15 years, and especially in the last 5 or 10 years, where there are a lot of different free software, open source projects that are working on the privacy of communications, safety of training, being able to do messaging in a safe way. A bunch of different tools like Signal was incubated essentially in this sort of environment. And a lot of other tools that you are using now have come out of the fact that this happened. And it's a huge ecosystem of lots of different projects and excited people working on these things. And in the last year or so, a bunch of US federal funding has fallen apart because of my government's new priorities. So this is the perfect time to be thinking about other ways of stepping in and being able to keep these various projects in the ecosystem going. Because, so the Open Technology Fund is a funder that spun off of Radio Free Asia, part of Voice of America, and they're a bunch of great people who want to keep this ecosystem going and value openness and freedom, Libre-style freedom, and they're still going, but they're also having budget questions, as every funder in this space is having budget questions.
Thank you. So Jarrad, next question is for you. I know that Logos has been quietly supporting this ecosystem for a while now. I want to hear why you and why Logos are so passionate about supporting the privacy ecosystem, and really I want to hear also about the community that you guys are building. I know you guys had a circle upstairs this morning, and I know you're working around the world to build grassroots community. So yeah, please tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Testing. Yep. I guess so I've been in the sort of privacy space, working on privacy technologies for, I guess actually Roger's work, like Freehaven and then Tor, were deeply influential on me in my formative years. And so that's kind of informed my worldview and been working on this for such a long time. But for every like rock star like Roger, there are like hundreds of unsung heroes who deeply understand that the impact of privacy technologies is what enables like free, open, and prosperous societies, right? We wouldn't have internet banking or Amazon or e-commerce if we didn't have, you know, crypto wars fighting for padlocks in your browser, essentially. And not all of these mechanisms for doing privacy, you know, can be supported by will even need a crypto economic mechanism to secure them. They can be done altruistically. And there's different ethoses that go into it as well. And in that time, a lot of it is basic research. Working on these privacy primitives and these technologies is incredibly hard. And so there's great people in like the sort of, you know, free software movement that will inherently work on this because they deeply understand why it matters. But then like when it actually comes to connecting to capital, you know, Vitalik and Roger were talking about VCs, for example. The different kinds of capital sources have different concerns when it comes to how you actually develop these privacy technologies. And that can actually also limit the kind of funding. So this is kind of like a tragedy of the commons. It's like privacy is a commons that like can underpin a civil society, a prosperous society. And if we are able to provide capital for these people to focus on working and building these primitives, we can uplift, you know, lots of people out of poverty, for example, and, you know, secure our civil liberties such as like freedom of speech, right to associate, you know, some Western values which, you know, not necessarily applicable everywhere, but, you know, I deeply care about them.
It's not just the developers, it's the impact from all the tools that they build.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So next question for James. As the CTO of Funding the Commons, sitting here with us today and appreciating the moment of a shift in public goods funding, both for the open source privacy movement and more broadly in the world. And at the same time, seeing such a excitement about Web3 privacy protocols that have really taken the limelight in the past few months as it feels like more and more people are realizing how important privacy is in our ecosystem, or at least are really excited about it. What do you see as the opportunity in this moment for the public goods ecosystem more broadly to support open source privacy?
Yeah, I mean, privacy is a public good, right? It's non-exclusive, it's non-rivalrous, and it really does feel there is a rise in momentum and awareness of privacy at this exact moment. And simultaneously, we see governments behaving differently. We see futures that could be very different than the ones our parents understood and knew. And we see funding that was there previously getting cut off, right? But at the same time, we've run a lot of different experiments in our ecosystem around Web3 native funding. So what if we took these learnings? What if we took all of these experiences that we built? And what if we take these technologies, which we all love so much, and what if we ran crowdfunding campaigns for something like Tor, for example, and try to understand how do we activate and ignite and catalyze the Tor developer community? And coincidentally, it's also a fantastic time in order to think differently about Tor, because Roger wrote Tor using C quite a long time ago, and that code base has been around and very effective for probably 20 years or so. But it's also being rewritten right now in Rust, and there's also an API being created as a part of this. So for the first time, builders can actually build on Tor, right, easily. And so how can we unlock that? What are the opportunities that affords? And who are the important projects in the Tor community ecosystem? Who are the builders that should be funded? How do we activate them? How do we get them up and running? And so for this reason, we approached Tor probably 2 or 3 months ago. We've been working on a weekly basis with the team while we architect and sculpt a Web3 native crowdfunding campaign with Tor. And we are going to do that with Octant, on Octant, coming in Q1 2026. And we're also working with various partners within our ecosystems in order to figure out, well, okay, well, how could we run a privacy-first crowdfunding campaign? How can we work with ecosystems outside Ethereum, for example, in order to activate the Bitcoin community, to activate the Zcash community? How can we activate all of these communities so that they can partake in such a campaign and bring us all together for what we really love and care about, which is privacy at this critical moment in history?
Thank you. So this next one's for Roger. Can you tell us a little bit more about this internet freedom ecosystem and the projects beyond the Tor browser and Orbot and the traditional ones that many folks in this audience have used, and some other projects that maybe you can highlight and educate us about?
Yeah, so this is the right time to be thinking about this because the US government funding is disappearing, but it's also a good time for Tor to be in this because we were impacted not as much as a bunch of the other projects in our ecosystem, because we've always been trying to diversify our funding, and there's sort of a sine wave of whether most of your money is government money that year or less. So the US government mess caught us at the right time, where we were actually doing pretty well on having some other diversity. So we still get to pay our developers, yay, but there are a bunch of other projects out there that weren't as diversified, and the timing was worse for them, and they are wondering how to do payroll in a couple of months and so on. So we, Tor, can come to this in a position of strength and not say, help, I need to fundraise for Tor, but instead say, hi, I'm from Tor, let's make our whole ecosystem stronger. Let's find all these different groups that are also working towards the same shared values that we have and figure out how to get them to be able to keep going and to become stronger and so on. So one of them is the Guardian Project. There's a great guy named Nathan Fritas, and he's got a bunch of other people now too. He started off focusing on mobile. I met Nathan when he said, hey, I just made the Android version of Tor, here it is. And I'm like, who are you? Great. I guess you're a Tor person now. And he's been doing all sorts of other amazing apps that are actually user-oriented, that try to, like he had one from years ago where you go to the protest and you're videoing, and it removes the faces from the video and uploads right then to archive.org so that it doesn't matter if they steal your phone later. And there are a bunch of other projects. Some of them use Tor. There's a messaging app that used to exist called Ricochet, and there's a rewrite of it called Ricochet Refresh. And the idea there is every user is their own onion address. And so rather than like the WhatsApp or Signal or Telegram where there's a company in the middle and they get to look, if you're lucky, they can't read what you say because you're using end-to-end encryption, but they can still see who all your friends are, when you talk to them, how much you say. And in the Ricochet world, there's no middle. There's no place to break into in order to get that whole data set of who's talking to who. So those are a couple of examples. There's another one called OONI, the Open Observatory for Network Interference. They do global censorship measurement. It's basically an ecosystem for people writing their own measurement tests, and then a community of people around the world who learn whether BBC works in Kazakhstan today, or learn whether WebRTC works in Venezuela today. And having that knowledge of the internet as it changes helps us as circumvention developers do the right thing next year. And it's not just us, it helps the VPN companies, Siphon, it helps the whole world understand where we are and where we're going. So those are a few examples, and I'll let you continue. Thanks
so much. Next question's for Jarrad, and given the current state of let's say the implosion of centralized funding for open source privacy outside of Web3 into what I heard Roger call Web 2.7, or
I might be 2.4 now, 2.4. I'm not sure.
Or 2.69, right, somewhere in the middle. So if we had the opportunity to redesign from scratch how open source privacy is funded outside of our own ecosystem or in collaboration with our own ecosystem, How would you do that?
It's a good question.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, not at all. Like, I mean, there's wonderful work that Funding the Commons is doing in terms of like exploring different mechanisms and designs on how to do that. But what I really love about something like crypto or this sort of blockchain space is it allows civilians, or what might be called like retail, to actually participate in funding things that they would actually like to see, right? Many of the existing financial systems right now have a lot of blockades up. They're even coming into crypto on the edges in some ways. But I think there's a massive opportunity for connecting like people to like effectively do crowdfunding 2.0 or 3.0 or whatever to actually build out things that civil society needs. So that's what I find so transformative about it. And then there's many ways you can skin the cat on that front, right? And like that's kind of, there's a whole design space on how you might want to actually go about achieving that. And there's been some great experiments, I'm sure everyone's heard of like quadratic funding, for example, these days. But yeah, it's, that's a continually evolving landscape. That's what I really care about, is like having people connect their capital to the things that they actually care about.
So really like more of a grassroots decentralized approach, making it less vulnerable to.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, that's also not exclusionary to like institutions or, other entities or other capital sources that are willing to participate in that. Like it's kind of open to all, is that the major point there.
Yeah, thank you. Next question for James. If you had one word of either like a request or a message to the public goods funding community and the Web3 builder community to get involved with us in what we're doing, what would you share?
Come and join us. Make it happen. This is a unique moment in history. There's a unique need in the history of the world. And we have the opportunity to do something that's never been done before. So if you're a builder who wants to build, if you're a capital allocator who wants to show their support, then come and allocate. And if you think there's anyone we should talk to and you would like to make any introductions, then I warmly welcome you to do that. Help us do this, help us make it happen, and just reach out to us and we will be very happy to talk to you.
Thank you. So one final question, and this is for all of you. If we look forward 10 years in the future, and we look back on this moment of transition from centralized sources such as governments, funding, privacy, to the system that we are dreaming up right here and right now, what did we get right? And how could it look? Like, does it look vastly different? Does it look similar? This is really an open question, so I leave it to you guys to answer. Maybe Jarrad, if you want to start.
I think that the kinds of privacy that's happening like on chain today is like giving you the kind of expectation that you perceive you have when you like use your banking account, right? Like in most of the dominant sort of blockchain sort of ecosystems, they are public accounts, they are public transactions. It's very much kind of like Web 1.0. And what we're effectively doing is SSL or HTTPS for blockchains on that regard, right? And so you can have this expectation that you have a similar privacy, like similar experience when it comes to doing like private transactions, for example. At the same time, I think how I would like to see this is privacy technologies in general raise the cost of coercion by, say, would-be tyrannical entities of some sort, whatever flavor of political system they come in, which allows, again, for freedom, prosperity, secures civil liberties, which have been steadily eroding in my lifetime, certainly over the past 2 decades. And I believe that that's going to lead to a much stronger sort of vibrant economy and society, the one that I would love to live in.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll jump in with 2 thoughts. So there are a couple of things about the current funding model of the privacy, internet freedom world, especially coming from government funders or even foundations, where those groups have their mission, and we have to figure out how to squeeze our goals into their mission. And there are two pieces to that that are good example challenges. One of them is software maintenance. Nobody wants to pay for software maintenance. They all want to do some new shiny feature. So you have to frame your thing as a shiny feature, but what you really are going to do is be ready when the bug shows up so you can fix it and keep users safe. And that boringness is something that is hard to communicate, but we have a chance here to have developers be the ones participating in the funding and knowing the importance of these things. And then the other side of that, one of our funders, I'm not going to name names, has a list of countries that are at risk. And we were planning, like, you go to the various countries, you do trainings on how to use tools like Tor, you watch them use Tor browser, you understand how they use it wrong, you go back, you fix the bugs. There's like a cycle of improving usability. And for that funder, we said, and also we want to do some trainings in Mexico because there are these great communities in Mexico that need our help in terms of being safe and doing education. And that funder said, no, Mexico's not an at-risk country. They're not on our list. Our money can't be used for them. So this is an opportunity 10 years from now to look back and say, because we had funders who were more focused on users who actually will become safer and communities that will grow from this, we can do the things we actually need to do, not try to frame it to match some United Nations mission or State Department mission and so on.
Yeah, this is like a little what I call the builder user gap in crypto, but it's more like foundation user gap almost. So that's a great observation about kind of a systemic funding issue. And final words, James, for what you're seeing 10 years out?
Yeah, I mean, the fight for privacy is the fight for the future that we want to see. And there's plenty of people who are fighting for a world where we have less privacy. And really, it's up to us here in this room in order to lead that fight. Like, we're all leaders, we're all activators. We should all walk the walk. We should all install the right apps. We should all talk to our family and the ones we love on Signal, first and foremost. We should do fun things on Signal, not only shady things. Not that anyone would do that. No, but really, it's important. You know, it should be a fun experience, and we should really move that narrative in our communities and networks around us first. And this is how it starts. So yeah, let's do it.
Thank you. So if you are interested in getting involved, talk to me, talk to James. Thank you so much, Jarrad, for working with us and supporting us with Logos. And thank you so much, Tor, and Roger for spending so much time with us and hanging out here all morning. So yeah, a round of applause for everyone. And quick housekeeping, we are running about 30 minutes behind. We'll catch up 15 minutes at lunch. So back here, we'll start at 2:15. And I will let Sarah introduce our final speaker for the morning. Thank you.
Sure.